So we've heard about the impacts, that sort of high-level impacts on communities. Now we'd like to hear from some of the local government members about what the impacts have been in their community, and we're going to flip it around a little bit. Norm, we're just going to ask you to come up now. And Norm Brennan is from the Edward River Council, so around Denny, and it's got a whole lot bigger in recent times. And obviously, as we've heard, he's one of the red dots. So what does a red dot mean on the ground? Thanks.
It means lots. Good morning, everyone. It's very interesting. Over the last 2 weeks, I've had a couple of meetings, like a lot of people have had. One was with the Productivity Commission, and on Tuesday I had a private audience with the Royal Commission into the Murray-Darling Basin being run by South Australia. The Productivity Commission was an open forum, public forum. I was able to talk to the commissioners privately afterwards. The Royal Commission was a private audience with my General Manager Adam McSwain, and Shelley was present also, which was a great value. The common theme that seemed to come through, they were trying to find out what's happened. Where were things done badly? And you talk about words like balance. There was no balance between consumptive users and the environment. Triple bottom line, heavy emphasis towards the environment, forgetting about social, economic, and the Murray-Darling Basin continually for the first 5 years continued to blame the Water Act that we have to do it that way. Well, that wasn't really true. Transparency and evaluation was another theme that came through. The information, I think it's been mentioned a couple of times, wasn't freely available, and if you could find it, you had to be a bloody good investigator to find out where it was hidden. Communications by the MDBA was appalling. In my time, which is too long, dealing with them, they wouldn't let you know things that were happening on the ground. And me as in the community, trying to keep my community involved, it was frustrating because they just wouldn't. And I know there's a couple here from the MDBA who are good friends of mine, and I spoke privately with them before, and I think they agree with the communication problems. Reporting of environmental water has always been poor and a lack of detail. Irrigators in the Murray system have to be held accountable to the nth drop of water about what you do, how you do it. The environment seem to have carte blanche. In other words, they are not held accountable to the community or the wider stakeholders. Balance is one of the key words. Now, I did bring up at that Royal Commission a meeting I had in February last year. With it was a variety of community people, a few irrigators and Murray-Darling Basin Authority people. One of those persons there was the leading socio-economic scientist, Phil Townsend, and we were questioning that stage about the lack of socio-economic detail and rigour, and he was waiting his excuse, we're waiting for the 2016 census. But then he gave us a little gem, which I still can't forget. It was to do with water and the timeline associated with the removal of water. And he said it operates on an 8-year cycle. When you remove water from day one to year 3, really not that much happens. But it starts to get very serious between year 3 and year 8. So look where we are at the moment. 2012, the basin plan gets implemented, so we've been 6 years. We've still got another 2 years to really find out what the initial water take and the impacts of that. And the water I was advised by the MDBA at one stage, and buybacks had finished in 2014, or the majority, so therefore we've still got another 4 years to find out exactly what the total amount of that 2,100 gigalitres that have gone out of the system. That's scary to me, especially when we're starting to have the politicians getting into the equation again, especially when we're still talking about the 605 SDLs and the 450 up gig. So that's 1,050 gigs, potentially more, they're going to try and remove out of our communities. That's 50% more than what they've already got. That to me is bloody scary. And I just say that it really has to, we have to draw somehow a line in the sand, and the whole thing over my experience has been run by politicians. They should not be in the water debate. They do not really know. They do not live in our communities, and yet they're making decisions for us. So these, and the Chief Minder has given me the wind-up signal, these political people making the decisions should be careful of their actions. My community, our communities, are all a potentially great threat in the next 5 to 6 years. Thank you.